G'day team. Now, I've done another layer on this down at the beach and we've added some more of those warm colours, but needs a little, well, needs layer 3. That's what it needs. And I like it. It's really turbulent through here and it wants to be that because I'll show you this. It's kind of what we're after with the sky. Why is that gone back all the way? I need to bring back my very clever shade. This is state of the art, guys. Money can't buy this kind of stuff. It's a bed sheet. It's cute. Oh, that's better. That's much better. All right. Okay. Ah, that's why it's moving. The wind. Alright, Toddy. Ooh, one part missing. It's bright in some corners, that's for sure. Thanks, Chad. It's usually it's a month notice though. I think it's the case. Come on. Woohoo! You know, when you take these things down to the beach, you get sand everywhere, and sand, well, that makes it harder for them to stick. So we're just slowly converting them over to sellotape, which will last until the next time we go to the beach. The stars. Come on, come on, come on. Banger. Howdy. You're here in New Zealand. This is 11 a.m. on a Saturday here in New Zealand. Gene, welcome in. I'll move the camera back here. Gotcha. Hold on. Let me bring you here. So this one here, guys, this is not my bed sheet. Put that up there to try and shelter me from the sun, but it seems quite determined to move in the wind. So we might need to clip some weights onto it. But this is the Washington Monument. Early days on it, but still fun, very fun. Now let me see if I can get a, I reckon, might even be able to tape it on, let's see. You reckon that'll work? Might do. We'll have to see. There we go. Just because where that sun is right now, just a little bit intense. There we go. I think we've won. Whew. Yeah, this is the day for it. This is the day for it. With that sun. Now the sun's actually going to keep on curving up, which means shortly it's going to pop directly under that beautiful custom-made eave that I've made, and give me just a little bit more shade in this chronic heat, which is quite nice. Excited about that. Family is good. Cooper's growing like a mushroom, which always struck me like a weird statement, because mushrooms, they get a small window of growth and they stop, don't they? Cooper's growing. She hasn't said her first word yet. I'm sure she's working on it. Ironically, it's better that way, but I don't think it'll stay. This way. Well, Londoner, it's a pleasure to be back. When you say 4x3, do you mean feet or do you mean inches? Because 4x3 inches is a little painting, but 4x3 feet, that's definitely doable. That's what you're after. You know where the commission form is. But I think I need to look at the timeline. I think we're stacked for 2025 on commissions. But I know I'm behind right now. We're just not quite sure how far behind. Because the nature of creativity, the non-linear fashion in which it tries to go forward. Hello, Birdie. Hot second since you've been in here. And favorite color to paint with? Probably ultramarine blue. Probably just blue. Blue's a fun color to paint with. It has the most shades, so it constantly, or most shades for the human eye to notice. So you're constantly discovering novelty in blue, as opposed to the other colors. To a larger degree, you're discovering novelty in blue. I think that's fair. I think, not that novelty is the sole purpose, but novelty is a very, very good reason to make art. So the more novelty you can get, the better, right? So, blue. Yes, DJ. Washington Monument. Wuxing Monument. It's a little bit thick right now. My Washington Monument's a wee bit engorged, but as time goes on, it'll slim. And we've got structures on both sides to capture. Most importantly, the red sandstone that goes around a few of these buildings. Most of the rocks are actually quite iconic that go with these buildings. Yeah. It's not just brick, or it's not just limestone as such. There's a lot going on. It's amazing when you start looking into it where the different rocks come from. We got warm red. I like me some warm red. I'm going to slowly dabble across and mix into those blues. At first, it's going to be this dirty purple, which will play nicely because we want that in the sky in a few little spots. But then over the next little bit, as the colour lands, and we add more white in, it's going to become more blue, or that sky blue tone we want. This colour is going to kind of stand in for everywhere that I'd normally use grey. Kind of lilac. More white. Never really get enough white. Funny about white, it's the more you add, the more you make the other colours pop. So even to the point where the whole canvas could be white with a single stroke of paint, it even creates more energy on that single stroke, so you can kind of just exacerbate white as far as you like. People say it makes the painting too stark, but I don't know. I think you can overdo it, personally. Cheers, Sky. Which is funny, because Sky, we're working on the sky, so that's fitting. Angel, it's been a hot minute since I've been in here, but it's lovely to see that you haven't given up on your tenacity to use caps. I appreciate that. There's one thing I can respect. It's consistency. In fact, I'd borderline send you a personal message, Angel, saying, "Are you okay?" if you started using lowercase. Alrighty, tighty. I think we do need some more peach in this though. Oh, and Ryan, I'm super sorry. I saw your I was literally just on Discord and I thought, well, the lighting's right, I'll just go live, but I saw a message there from you, a DM. No, Angel, don't you do that. You push that caps lock button again, how dare you. It's funny how that works, that irony of we've had conversations going over years, in fact, to try and reduce the amount of caps that Angel uses. And the moment I endorse it, it's a wild world. I'm coming back, guys. 1 second. Also, I've got this here. If the fumes ever get to me, I'm super sensitive when it comes to paint fumes. So at the moment the wind's blowing a bit of a funny direction. So if you see me, this is a ventilator, just so I can get one breath of fresh air when I feel like I need it. Be like, you're in the fresh air. When I say super sensitive, I mean super sensitive. Favorite food, deep fried chips. That's the best. They are the best. And if you say like ingredient, potato, I get it. There's fancy foods out there. There's a ton of fancy foods all over the world. Potato. I really don't see that changing over the next 70 years. Like maybe, but like, I don't know, potatoes good enough. You can deep fry them. Potato, when you make them into chips, salt and vinegar chips, oh god. The more chemically processed the salt and vinegar chips are, the better. If I go to a fancy restaurant and I see potatoes on the menu, I'm having them. Whether they are those duck fat fried potatoes, simple hot chips. I go out to a restaurant for the hot chips. I appreciate when they do those truffle fries. A kind of attempt to make them as classy as possible. You don't need to do that. Not for me. Yeah, you're on the right track, Al. I always have to do a double take these days on Al, the Alistair, because you're like, is that Al, short for Alistair, or is it AI with a capital I? What am I looking at? Go. Make magic here. Gonna make magic. There we go. Goes down. Whenever that breeze comes in from the wrong direction, these commissions are all with quite heavy duty, strong paints for the colour profile. But after that, I've got some very delicate, fun egg tempera works that I want to play with. So that'll be fun. We just have to make it through those moments where the wind blows in the wrong directions. I used to be able to handle it, guys. I used to be able to be there with fumes everywhere in the room and it wouldn't bother me. But now, can't do it, cannot do it. Kalex. I've never seen that name before. It's fun. Well, it's good to have you back, Kalex. And my name is Scott. I can tell that. Even though it's a $. It's a funky... They call you LA as a nickname. That is a fun nickname. I mean, Sky was already cool, but LA for a nickname? All I'm saying is I'm a fan. Geekly Broken and Waylon. Welcome on in, guys. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We're painting the Washington Monument. And we're adding sap green. I always add on the greens and the yellows earlier in the piece so that I can cover them up with the richer Naples yellows. Not the richer, but the softer Naples yellows. And the blues and reds. I like to finish with the blues and reds more than I like to finish with strong yellows or greens. Still like to have them in the picture, don't get me wrong, I want them, but I want them underneath those other colours that I like more. A picture that ends with yellow or green, I don't know, maybe it's the pigment, but it always feels tacky. That's probably not fair. It feels tacky, they do. I don't lie about it, it feels tacky. There we go, gorgeous. Let's get a bit more of that in there. That's what I want. This is a combination of red and green. What does that make? This is an episode of Miss Rachel, but it does make brown a dirty kind of ambery brown. I have been thoroughly enjoying an evening session of Miss Rachel. For those who don't know who Miss Rachel is, you've got to jump on YouTube. She's a lovely lady, not sure how old she is, but lovely lady who makes children's videos. And, rather than watching violent shows on Netflix most evenings, Miss Rachel's teaching me to count. Well, my daughter, but by association me. And so I'm infinitely grateful. Miss Rachel, I know you've got hundreds of millions of followers, but if you're one of the 37 in the room right now, thank you. I appreciate you. She's got the song called I'm So Happy, and it gets stuck in your head all the time. And a bubblegum one, by golly, Cooper loves the bubblegum song. I can never remember how it goes until it starts, and she starts bobbing. That's how I know it's actually begun. But the song, I'm so happy, jump. I'm so happy, jump, clap. It's repetitive, but you got to say for Miss Rachel, she knows what a 1-year-old wants. I think it's also the enthusiasm in your eyes. I think that's what kids bounce off. Honesty and enthusiasm. I can feel it. I'm so happy, jump, clap. I'm so happy. Yeah, it's enough of that. Get that out of your head, Sebastian. If people don't have kids, there's nothing more laborious than listening to someone recite Miss Rachel songs. And that's what I'm putting you guys through, so I'm sorry. It's not ideal of me. I've actually got a brush. I don't know where it is, but it's a. I got it off Temu. It was the funniest thing. It was a. It is a brush with 5 heads on it, separate heads, so you can paint with 5 at once. It's bizarre. I love it. Costs $3. Of course, now that'll be $6 with the tariffs, right? Johnny Cash or Bob Dylan? Tough choice, Johnny Cash. I feel like Johnny Cash was this wonderful combination of the ability to record voice and also having a musically gifted deep voice, and the combination of the two formed kind of a unique spot. Obviously now there's tons of people with deep voices making music, but he was kind of, at a point in time, it's very hard to find other country artists with a voice as resonant as his, singing the way he did. He become quite unique. Because if you remember a lot of those old speakers, they used to be quite tinny. Like they'd come across with a lot of like not a lot of deep resonant notes would come through those old speakers. I'm so happy. Jump, clap. I'm so happy. I'm sorry, guys. Miss Rachel's got me. Beautiful. When you hear it, you'll be like, that's the song he was singing. Oh God. I do like Train. Train's all good. I'm more of a 70s, 80s country guy though. There's just something about simple stories that resonate when I'm trying to relax. Big John. What about Johnny Dean? If only someone would remake Johnny Dean's songs in a deeper voice. Because it can be kind of screechy at times. Big Iron by Johnny Dean. Great song. There we go. Big Iron, Big Iron. I'd like another punchy colour to go in this. I'm not quite sure what it is, but when we get some other, I think it's like a royal purple, something with a bit of kick to get in there. Elvis is alright. Elvis is alright. He's one of those people who, I think I don't want to say went out of fashion. He never went out of fashion, he's the king, but like, he's coming back into mainstream, like yeah. What am I doing? I mean, if you walked into a bar or something and they were playing Elvis, it wouldn't be like, oh, they're playing Elvis. It'd be like here we go. You know what I mean? Divinity. Baby's good. Baby's healthy. Baby's strong. Baby's growing, big and strong. She's in the top percentile, not the top percentile, but like middle of the range bell curve for head circumference and weight, but one of the lowest percentiles for height, so which means she's getting fit enough and she's got a big brain, but her mother's not the tallest lady and her dad isn't that tall either, so while we'll pass over many important things to her, height will most likely not be one of them. There we go. Which is great, because we plan on doing a lot of travel, so the more travel we do means that we'll need a family which can fit into smaller spaces. Clever, right? Just making sure that lighting's still working for us. Let me know if it gets too glary, guys, because I can go up there and do battle with my bed sheet, or I can move us slightly. But you can see the artwork clearly, then totally fine. One of the things these replays do for me is I can refer back to them and kind of see how the painting came together. And it helps me better understand how the process is going for next time and for additional layers as they land. Because you can only get so much from the finished surface. It kind of lacks that process. There's a lot that happens when you're making the art to it'll come together. 5'10". I used to think I was 5'11", but then I measured myself on one of Cooper's visits to the doctor, one of her regular checkups, and I don't know where the inch went. I'm sure it used to be there, or maybe I was just lying on a Tinder profile. 5'10". I never used to understand why people would add their heights to Tinder. But it was only after, like, long after I avoid Tinder, to never go on it again, that I realized people care about that. It's wild. Like, I can't think it for a heartbeat. I suppose it's different for females, maybe, but like I can't imagine for a second height adjusting my feelings for a partner. Like, I suppose men don't care. We care about other things, but I don't know. There's just so many parameters with a personality. Like, how can you start turning people down on height when there's so many things that you're looking for in someone's character? Like, you haven't got time. It's like avoiding restaurants because they use the colour blue. You're like, or judge it on cuisine and quality. I don't know. But like, men can be shallow too. So it's not black and white. There's areas where, in fact, men are probably worse. Is that fair? I don't know. We have partners and relationship psychologists in the room. Divinity would fit very, very well into a plane seat. And that is something to aspire to. You can wear heels and become taller, but a tall person can't wear anti-heels and become shorter. So, like, kind of like, do you like hot weather or cold weather? Whereas in the cold, you can always put a layer on, but in hot weather, there's only so many layers you can take off before it's not socially acceptable. So, you tell me. Slow down. John Mayer, another great artist, I reckon. Yeah, Janice is a good name. Okay, we're gonna need some more white in the sky and blacks down below. That's where we're at. Poppy yellows. Like I was saying, we don't want this many yellows in the end result, but we do want them now. Part of the reason behind that is they can sit underneath being potent. but we don't want them to be overpowering on top if we can help it. So right now they're overpowering on top, but they'll fall back. They'll fall back, they'll fade back, they won't be able to help themselves. Slight adjustment there. Move this one here over there. See, sometimes it feels like you're just making a mess and you're making no ground sometimes. Then you pull back one of these Polaroids and see what's underneath it, and you're like, wow. Yeah, no, we're making good ground. There's a lot going on. You've got to build it up bit by bit. If you try and get there too fast, you don't get that depth, that little, those little pockets of interest that make a painting worth owning. There's two kinds of paintings. Paintings worth looking at, and then paintings worth owning. And a painting worth looking at gives you everything in immediacy. You get everything you want from it. It's over. It's done. But a painting worth owning, there's enough Easter eggs and little moments of intrigue that your mind can get value from it over days, months, years, decades. That's where a painting worth owning comes special. So you got to ask yourself when you're making a painting as an artist, have I put enough in this, emotionally, physically, whatever, enough in it so someone can actually connect with it or see value in it for over a decade? Because if the painting suddenly gives you everything after 5 years, that's not really giving you an ROI, a return on investment. If you're paying thousands and thousands of dollars for a painting, it needs to continue paying you, mentally, giving you a spark in your daily life for 20 plus years or indefinitely. Once it stops doing that, then you're saying, well, over 5 years, so what's that, 1,500 days ish. Over 1,500 days, I believe I'll get the value of, say, $7,000. It kind of needs to continue. It needs to not dissolve in value. And of course, eventually everything can slowly degrade in novelty. And that's where there's the second-hand market for art. Because if you never ever lost the novelty that you felt when you first owned it, then the only reason why you buy and sell art is as a business or financial prospect. You'd continue to own the same pieces you loved at the start. But certainly that novelty does degrade over time. And if it degrades, it's okay. We just need to find ways that it actually starts at a higher level to actually have further to degrade or degrade slower. Divinity, yes. Yes, indeed. This is the ocean. So if you went out in a boat, out there in the water, you would, you may, let's not put words out there, but you may find a fish. Maybe. See, who's that? The collar is beautiful. Thank you. It's Zara. They had a sales rack there. Hey, big spender. Went in there, and the guy gives me this big greeting. And he's getting ready for a customer to pitch clothes to and things like that. I'm like, where's your sales rack? And he's like, you can see it in his eyes. He's like, this kind of customer. Okay. You've never touched the ocean. Well, if you look at particles, and the fact that particles don't actually touch, there's always this little barrier in between them. Even when you jump in the ocean, you've never actually touched it. We just apply that definition to it incorrectly, because the atoms never made contact. Divinity. Well, I appreciate your opinion. Extra is all I am. Extra with dad jokes. Extra dad jokes. I'm going to stand back with you guys for a bit and just have a little look-see here, see where we're at, how we're feeling. It's getting there. It's getting there. It feels good. Feels very good. I would like to adjust that blanket I put up, because it is currently doing nothing. Watch out for that. There we go. Give me just a second to. Oh, easy to easy. Screw that there. That there. There we go. That's almost lovely. There we go. That's lovely. There's some fun messages in there. The Caribbean and Trinidad. Divinity, look after yourself. Thanks for being in here. And KK Newley, it's been a hot minute since we've seen you, but it's good to have you back in. This is the Washington Monument. And we are on layer 4 at the moment, but we're probably going to go to about 8 to 10. We'll see how we go. 8 to 10. It's an absolute stab in the dark at the moment, because at this stage of the painting, there's really no hard rules being followed. It's about getting paint on the surface, building up those chaotic lower layers before we start really trying to control it too much. Impressionism, yeah. Yes, indeed. This is very much, this entire style is very impressionistic. It's outside, so it's plein air. It's playful, so it's painterly. It's trying to depict the subject matter. Would you call it realism? The artist plays a massive role. No two artists, not even me twice, would make the same artwork twice. So I guess there's an element of expressionism in it. And none of that really matters. So it's just art. Like, trying to grab a hold of movements and definitions can really only help you quantify or control the art. And like, if the art's anything, if it's worth its time, you don't need to quantify and control it. Van Gogh's much more fun if you don't try and understand him as a French impressionist painter, and actually understand him as a person hell-bent on making the most beautiful art he could. When you box him in, it makes us think psychologically that Van Gogh wanted to be a French Impressionist painter. I don't think he cared for that. I think he just wanted to make beautiful art. And our goal, I say Van Gogh because he's easy to talk about, but our goal should be to try and understand Van Gogh and get inside his headspace as best we can to better understand the art. And taking an angle in which he wouldn't have used wouldn't help. And just like we say pop art, and we understand pop art as this whole cultural movement that's so significant and important. Do you think Andy Warhol believed he was doing pop art the way we talk about it now? I think Andy Warhol was reacting to what was happening at the time. The Campbell soup cans, hilarious, upsetting critics. Do you really think he was trying to adhere to a movement? I think the people who make movements aren't trying to control or adhere to a movement. They're actually just trying to create and be the best version of themselves. And through that, they start a movement. That's the key. Like, Andy Warhol wasn't thinking, pop art, tactically. Andy Warhol was a hot mess. You look at him, taking those videos of him eating a burger and calling it art, you know. And probably this is a reaction to how controlling gallery owners, museum curators, art critics were at the time. They felt like they had a chokehold on what was art and what was great art. And to upset them, what's Andy Warhol doing? He's literally just putting like silkscreen, which is like a way of making prints in an easy, replicatable but handmade kind of way. He's just doing Campbell soup cans and Marilyn Monroe's face, but the Campbell soup cans was a huge insult to the art critics at the time because he'd got the most generically stupid household item that was actually a brand, and he was putting it on gallery walls. And what did he pair it with? He paired it with another picture of 2 Campbell soup cans, and then 6, and then 100, and then 200 of them. Just to really, really upset, goad anyone who was considering they understood or fathomed high art. He was kind of, it's hard to actually describe the difference between Andy Warhol. We understand pop art as opposed to Dada. Dada art was after World War II. It's like anti-art. Things that weren't art, like toilet seats and galleries. Silly stuff like that. You'd better understand Warhol by considering him a Dada style artist than you would as a pop artist as such. Because now we look at pop art isn't the anti-art, but Andy Warhol kind of was. And yet he's the face of pop art. But then Dadaism was more, I don't know, they were, dare I say it, quite negative. They were really pushing the letter on an anti, kind of being the atheist of art, just saying no to everyone without offering another solution. Like, turning yourself on art so much and trying to rip down the castle of what conventional art is with the negativity of putting a toilet in a gallery. This isn't offering a solution. We're not going to get excited about the toilet in the gallery. We're going to get excited about real art. So, yeah, break the narrative like Warhol did, but offer a beautiful solution like he did with the Marilyn Monroe colours, and like that's iconic because it's great. He said it doesn't need to be fancy paint on a 2D surface. There's other ways to make art that we can appreciate and love. Here's Marilyn Monroe in a cool, funky style. Respect that, but the Polaroids are for inspiration. So the main compositional Polaroid's this one here, but the sky in this one's quite muted. So we're taking accents from this one here, which has the sky in a more turbulent, saturated manner. And then we have these ones here, which are the buildings on each side. And then these ones here, this one's just for fun. This is the door handles if you go close to one of the buildings. Very, very fun. And these ones here are the frame. So we got two of the frame here. And the idea behind that is, with this picture, I'm not fully decided at the moment, but there's going to be this combination of raw timber with an ornate frame. I haven't There's a noisy aeroplane. I haven't fully quantified how that frame's going to work yet, but it's going to be this, just because we're trying to complement a current collection that Tyler owns. So Tyler's got works with these ornate style frames, and rather than just putting in, oh, here's a floating black frame, it doesn't quite tick the box as nicely. I reckon what we actually want to do is find something that is modern, yeah, floating frame, whatever, but has these ornate accents in it in some way that'll create this kind of traditional with a modern kind of feel. Because in a way, that's what the painting is. It's the Washington Monument, but it's from the other direction. This is grass. It's not the pool that Forrest Gump partner Jenny ran through. And it's a traditional structure, but painted in a very untraditional way. So there's lots of things here that actually add up to wanting to do a subtle blend of the two. With Sampans and Shelter, it was more on the nose. It was very much a here's these traditional boats on a sunset of what Hong Kong is now. This one won't be as on the nose as that, but you can't look at a traditional monument in a wild, impressionist, painterly, crazy style and not have intentionally or unintentionally blended the old with the new, is what I'd say. So what I'd say. Also, we yammer on here so much, and one thing I've been working on is transcribing the yarns we have here into something mildly cohesive, and then they'll be on the website, mainly for collectors, because rather than say Tyler having to watch me yarn about how potatoes are my favourite food and all the rest of it through every dot of paint, Tyler can catch the footnotes of decisions made, where we're at, and what's happening with Washington Monument. We've got a soft name for it as well. I'm not going to reveal it, but Tyler is working on a name for this piece, which is kind of fun. It's because we're not going to, I don't think at this point in time, we're not going to call it the Washington Monument. It's kind of, I'm hoping that through the process of painting it, that part's going to become obvious. We don't need to, hey, look, it's obviously this. Like, I'd like to have enough definition that we don't need to play that kind of game. I want to play a game of what angle and why, and what time of day. This is Tyler's walk home, so that plays a significant role. So Tyler sees it from this angle as he's travelling home, and you have to ask the question, does this capture the feeling that you'd have when you walk past the monument at a certain time of day? And that's the biggest question we're going to keep on asking as we progress closer to the end result. And if we don't get there, we're just going to keep going. More paint, more paint, more paint, more paint. That's the plan. Okay. You know, one place I'd really like to go. I'd like to go back to Rarotonga. That place was fun. Rarotonga's fun. I think one thing about saying impressionist art, though, we say at Al, is we historically understood artwork through what the artist wanted to show us. You know, like Van Gogh was critically misunderstood, but until Joanna showed his letters out there to the world and everyone understood the madness but insane genius behind the artist, whatever. I don't think we view the world in terms of art movements anymore, and it's less about what the artist wants to show you or what a critic says you should see. I think we understand art throughout history, including today, but all of history, through the lens of how it makes the viewer feel. And there'd be some people who would say, art's always been like that. I don't know. I think the viewer's been quite second place compared to, like, if you look at all those ancient works in the Louvre, you'd be like, yes, but you're supposed to see the man on horseback like a king. No. The dude commissioned a painter who wanted himself to look cool to everyone. This is very much a painting looking at you. Here's how great I am. It's less about how... No royal getting a painting made by an artist ever was wondering how this would make viewers feel in terms of having a good experience for them, other than I hope they think I'm great. You know, this is the way art's historically been. Obviously, massively so in those with a royal. Like, can you imagine? Let's frame it like this. Can you imagine going to an artist and commissioning a painting, not just of a portrait, not an authentic raw portrait, but of you in your best outfit, standing on kind of like half exposed like this, looking down the camera lens, and just being an absolute, like, a few people do, but this has got very rare. We're asking less of art to actually push out an idea. That's where design and advertising are coming in, and more for art to actually stimulate how a viewer feels. And that's really, really healthy. I think it's a great place for art to be. And that's where the question of AI art has been asked, because, well, this interesting little melting pot of circumstances. Because if AI art came out when we were still fighting in castles, we may have loved it. We may have felt very differently towards it, but it didn't. It came out at a time that we significantly value how it makes the viewer feel. Interesting. So now, both people endorsing art and making art are asking the question around what do we want? Artists are asking what real art is, and sometimes disparaging or endorsing AI art, and then viewers are using their eyes and their wallets to decide what they want to endorse by what makes them feel good. This is a healthy place for art to be. The healthiest part of art isn't the outcome, but the discussion that gets you there. And that's happening right now. We're having that, and we're better understanding art. Like, the everyday person in the world understands art better than they did 5 years ago, simply on the grounds that AI has made them ask questions that they wouldn't have asked otherwise. There you go. That's actually a very good point. I'm proud of myself on that one. That wasn't just a rant, that went somewhere. Nadia, we're painting the Washington Monument. Welcome on in, Nadia. Lovely to have you here. So this is layer 4. I'm expecting maybe 8 layers, but again, it's early days and these are just guesses. For those who are new here, if there's any new people, we start wild, so we start crazy, wild, free, paints everywhere, and then we slowly bring in this clarity. And by the end of it, we want to have this kind of 50-50 relationship, half wild, half chaos, half clarity, and kind of trick the human eye to dance between the two. Do I see something? Do I not? Obviously with this image, hello, it's my bed sheet. With this image, there's that obvious totem pole in the center of it, which anchors the whole work. Now, there's two things with that. First off, I'll sort of my bed sheet. I'm just going to tape down the side here. This will work just fine. If I can grab it before it comes down. There we go. There we go. For those who are thinking this is like some sort of beautiful bohemian gazebo, it is a beautiful spot, but this is a bed sheet, and the bed sheets are doing a wonderful job in keeping the sun directly off my face, because I don't mind wearing sunglasses, but it is a slightly nicer painting experience if you can get that light directly out of your eyes and just see through your regular retinas, I reckon. I'm not as die-hard, but some people are die-hard. They get really upset when they see content that I make when I'm wearing glasses. And they go, how could you be a self-respecting artist and wear glasses while you paint? And I'm like, grow up a little bit. It makes the most minuscule difference. If you're going to paint outside and the sun's bright, if a pair of sunglasses is going to help, why do we look a gift horse in the mouth? It'll alter the color tones. Oh, your mood's going to alter the color tones. Don't pretend like artists have some godly vision that can't be replicated or can't be, should never be altered in different lighting conditions. Like, maybe it's better for the artwork that you see it with a slightly different color palette with your eyes. Maybe your retinas need to be played with because, yeah, it's my 2 cents. Right. Ha, I see Steve's in here. Hey Steve, how we doing? And Chad, you're in for another pun. All right, I'm gonna read it. Hold on. I mean, who said the steakhouse was serving steaks that bring a lot to the table? You're just assuming these steaks are oversized, which is a fair enough assumption, but you are assuming that. And you are welcome, Mouse Ears. I've got one for you, Chad. Are you ready? A box without hinges, key or lid, yet golden treasure inside is hid. Let me reword that. A chest without hinges, key or lid, yet golden treasure inside is hid. Oh, Chuck, you lucky man. I would like a steak from Outback Steakhouse. I like Longhorns, actually. Got a soft spot for Longhorns in the States. It's some good stuff. I'm a big fan of that. The old Longhorn Steakhouse. Great staff. Excellent people. Alright, let's get a bit more of this in here. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. There we go. Coming back in with some, I've already used the ultramarine blues, but the more you put them on there, the more impasto, thick blues you add on. Just the It's just a simple increase in the saturation of colour. And there's this awkward kind of line here that blurs out between what's land, building and trees and what's sky at the moment. So we need to get more, a little bit more nestled in here and intimate with what we want to happen down here. There we go, gorgeous, absolutely stunning. At this stage as well, we can't be afraid to lean back. Sorry, not lean back. We can't be afraid to be quite bold with the strokes. If we're not bold with the strokes, it's going to lose. It'll just become quite flat. You can't have all these jarring pockets of detail and expect an image to come forward if you're not actually doing some more bold movements on the surface as well. Down here's great examples. Up here there's a few. Here it's getting a little bit chinky, as in like little scratch marks over it. So depending on where the next few colours go, there is room to do some longer gestural strokes heading out, especially because these are the perspective lines. See where it takes us. It's hard to judge your work, especially in the window of the first 4 or 5 layers. You really need to get into the nitty gritty, into the there we go. Lovely. Into the nitty gritty, into those sort of 7, 8 area. 7 or 8 layers, that's when it really starts to, what's the term? Hit its straps. Is that what the kids are saying these days? I think that's what boomers say. I think hitting your straps is a horse term. You hit your straps, is that correct? I'm confused. Thanks, guys. So it is hit your straps. So what does hitting your straps mean? Where does that come from? Hitting your straps. What's that? Hitting your straps. It must be horses. Grass as well. We keep coming back to this green. It's okay. But again, I just want this green to kind of exist in the underlying layers. So to make sure we don't overcook it, we can always tone it back. There. Whole way. There we go. Right over the edge. Gorgeous. Kloiber. Yes, so I do enlist a bit of help from Shelby. So once the commission form gets filled out, depending on how busy I am, Shelby will leap in there and she'll get the details off it, bring it to me, we'll talk about it, work out what's possible, work out a timeline, work out what can be made, and then she'll go back to the potential collector or the return collector. Usually return collectors just come straight to me, but she'll go back to the collector and say, hey, here's the timeline we're looking at, here's your quote, here's everything we think, and they'll say, let's go, let's party, or no, I've decided I hate him. You never know, hits either side. And then once that happens, I'll take up the comms with them and we'll start communicating more in depth, figuring out how to make this individual idea come to life. And sometimes that involves a call, that we can talk through a few bits and pieces. Sometimes it is, a lot of collectors just say, look, just tear in, just literally full rain, here's a picture, I want to see what you can make for me. And then we look at a spot in their house and they say, yep, this is where I want it to go, this is how I want it to, the room's accents I want it to match. And then I touch base with them a few months later and say, look, here's your tracking code, it's inbound. Tracking code and final installment. And some people love that mystery. So like, if you really do want a mystery, we can hold back all the social media content and even not even do a live, or just don't go on TikTok for a bit. Entirely up to the collector at the end of the day. And then if they want it to be a surprise, we wait for it to be at their doorstep. They can open it, have their experience as a viewer of being the first person to see it, aside from me, and probably Cooper. And then I'd release the content about it. But that way, if it's a personal painting, sometimes that's a preference to actually get that connecting moment with it first, rather than be the last person. You know what I mean? That's entirely preference though. Blasey from Night Night's Party. Excuse me, miss. The car broke down. Sister left me with the baby now. One of the big things here, and I've said it like 3 or 4 times, but we need those yellows and greens to fall back. The raw yellows and greens got to play less of a role. That's the important thing here. They've got to play less of a role. And it's tainted ever so slightly, but it's basically pure white. And this pure white is going to create, people say it's stark, but it's not actually stark. It's going to have some really cool impacts on the overall Washington Monument. It's got a bit of pink through it, it's got a bit of green. I'm going to be careful not just to frame the monument with, you know, noticing borders. That's one thing we never do in this particular approach, the way I paint. Don't notice borders, guys. You just see a person and draw a big, dirty, black line around them. Or with this monument, framing it with one colour up all the sides and go, right, there's my monument, I'm good to go. Like, you've got to let the border be this kind of no man's land, or this conversation between the background and the foreground. We're not even noticing that there is a background and foreground, just seeing accents of shape and colour. And that's going to give you the best chance of capturing the real subject, not what you think the subject ought to be. Because a lot of the time we do just paint, I say as artists and viewers, we do just paint what we think the subject should be. We know what an eye looks like, we know how to draw an eye, so we do that. We don't look at that particular eye. That would be too hard, too mentally exhausting. Why bother? Who cares? They want a nice eye. They want a pretty looking person with a nice eye. So who cares if it's not actually their eye, if it's not from that photo, if it's not from that moment? Well, I do. I prefer an eye that's lopsided, incorrect, riddled with mistakes. If it means it's a more authentic capturing of the way the artist sees that person. If you can do that, yeah, it's just better, guys. Like, the best example I can give you of that being the case is when you look at AI art, You know how you can spot it because it's too perfect? It's obviously perfect, and it turns you off. That's what happens here. That's the same effect. The same effect of why it's really important to actually not try and lean too hard into what you think's perfect. Just paint what you see. Or if you're a bit more emotionally orientated, paint what you feel. Don't get yourself locked into the dogma that you need to be a second-rate version of AI trying to produce realities that are perfect. Yuck. Art's kind of like a person in that sense. When you fall in love with it, it's not because it's the most perfect painting in the whole world. It's because you understand it, you connect with it, and you love it. Just like people in your life who you love. It doesn't have to be like, not a single one of Van Gogh's works. Starry, Starry Night. Let's take Starry, Starry Night. It's not perfect. You can see where his brush was running out of paint. You can see where he slapped it, where he moved. It's not a perfect painting. And yes, through it, we better understand perfection. That's what a painting should be. That's a painting you can fall in love with. It doesn't try to be more than what it is. It just tries to express everything that he was feeling in that moment. And that should be an enormous weight off your shoulders as an artist to actually understand that when someone orders a commission, unless they're literally commissioning you, which is kind of unheard of these days, to do a realism depiction of them on horseback wearing a full suit of armour, which if someone did want that, because it would be very ironic, I'd be into doing. People are commissioning artists to do raw, real art for them, to bring some authenticity into their homes. And so that should be an enormous weight off your shoulders to understand that this person wants the version of yourself when you drop the smoke and mirrors. And while that's hard to bring forward, it should feel good. Commissions should feel good. Not be a drain on your energy that you bring. Who's that there? A lot of letters, but yeah, Topple Stan. And sorry for the art heavy, the dust in my throat. Art heavy talk today. My background, I did art history at university and philosophy, so it kind of trickles into everything I talk about. But I think it kind of has to. I think it's I think fundamentally art needs a why. Without a why, it's kind of lost. Even if avoiding a why is the why. Like when Picasso was sitting there saying, "Oh, we spend our lives learning how to paint like a child again." He's the anti-why. He's trying to say that his why is now to have no why, which is great. That's the greatest why of them all. By actively denying its existence, it becomes a sole thing and the only thing you care about. But you need a why of some description. Even if it's just, it's therapy and it makes you happy. Primo. But to better understand the why is like to establish a goal. And once you have that goal established, great. Now we can actually trim off what's not helping that goal, add in what is helping the goal, what could help the goal, and just grow from there. You're never really sure how much dead weight is in your process or the system until you clearly outline what your goals are. What do you actually want? What is the why behind what you're doing? That clarity, and Picasso had that clarity. But that clarity will help you more than you believe. It feels silly. No, I'm just going to paint. Figure out your why. It'll help. Carly. First off, Carly, lovely name. Second off, these pictures here. There's one which is the main reference photo, but a lot of these ones here are inspiration. So this particular site, the Washington Monument, has a lot of intrigue from a lot of different angles. And not everything can really fit into a single photograph. You have to get closer perspectives on a few of these buildings, not just for the composition as such, that's one element, but for the inspiration of it. That's really, really important. You could just say, oh, it's a dome, or it's a tower, just leave it at that, just put it in there. But actually, to fully understand it makes you fall in love with it more. And once you're in love with it, now you're going to start painting in a meaningful way, not just in a, I'm making this because I have to kind of way. There has to be meaning behind it, because we're not idiots. And when I say we're not idiots, I mean, I believe everyone, not just refined artists or critics, everyone can look at a painting and see if the artist was really putting themselves into it, really cared about what they were making. I think we feel that. I think we find that magnetic. And when you get bored, when you walk into a gallery or a museum, when you're like, I don't understand art. No, you do understand art. You understand it enough to know that when you walk through that space, you felt nothing. And now it's your job, as someone who does understand art, to go find a space where you do feel something. Because you will. It might not be in a gallery, it might not be in a museum, but there's somewhere where you'll feel something. Find that space. Maybe it's a farmer's market. Maybe it's a particular museum. I haven't really liked a whole lot of galleries. Galleries don't really resonate with me. I've never really gravitated to the art in them. I don't like how it's presented. I don't like how it's pitched. The white walls a lot of the time feel really impersonal. It doesn't gel with me. But that being said, I went to a gallery in Barcelona, and it was so great, so meaningful, life-changing, you could even say. So great that I bought a hat from the gift store. I never buy things from gift stores. I bought this hat. I'm not wearing it right now, obviously, but I bought a hat because I thought to myself, this is a really, really cool gallery. Point to the story. Just because you walk into a gallery and don't like it, doesn't mean you're the problem. Walk into 15 galleries and hate them all. Still, doesn't mean you're the problem. It might mean you're a tough little customer, but why would that be a bad thing? That's a good thing. Stand back a little bit and have a look-see at this. We're in a good pocket here. That was the paint, I swear. Just adding a bit of blue into the white. Yeah, that's not super uncommon either. Creativity coming from nature. That's been the case over many centuries, in fact. It's been the case for centuries. Good. We're in a good space. This is a fun part of the session, guys. This is where I start running out of things to say. is that actually is AI, isn't it? It's a robot saying that. Artistic authenticity discussion. I thought that was actually a person who just had a desire to quantify what they were looking at. That is a big blunder on my part. Now that I realise that, I feel silly. But, I thought they were just going from live to live, saying what they saw. And I had respect for that, but I see now that was a little bit on the silly side. More blue in this too. Hi from Queensland, Australia. We're going to the polls today. Yahoo. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I hope you have a great day. There we go. Now we're cutting it like we're supposed to be. That's gorgeous. Just see it descending gently. Typically when I go into nature, Shelby likes to surf right out there in front of the house, but for me, I like going into nature. So, I'll paint, but I won't typically go into nature just for a walk. Not unless I'm fishing for inspiration. Yeah, this is going to have all the colours in it though, remember. We're going to do everything in this one. But, we're not far off. Taking a little break. Call it there, team. This has been a joy. How much money does it take to paint a base card piece? So for this piece here, leaving out shipping and the box that you ship it in, let's just say surface, frame, paint, and varnishing, gessos, blah blah, start to finish, artwork in my hands ready to hang on the wall, hypothetically, you're in the cart for about $200, $250, $500, about $750, about $700 to $900 New Zealand dollars. So about $600 New Zealand dollars, 600 American dollars will be the value of all the supplies that go into making this exist as a piece of artwork. Probably more like 800, but like somewhere around that mark. It doesn't need to cost that much. You can use, especially when you're starting out, pigments of a lower quality. You can use cheaper brushes, you can use cheaper surfaces, and that'll reduce the cost down. You can avoid framing altogether. These are all options that you have, but if you do the tippity top of the line, is keeping the quality as high as you can, you're going to find that you are paying huge amounts more to make sure it's archival. It'll go the distance. Anyway, guys, thanks for being here. Appreciate you joining me down at the beach today. And at the beach, looking at the beach, we'll be painted with our blanket above us. What a treat. Perfect time as well because the phone's about to die. Wishing you all the best from New Zealand. I'll catch you next time. Bye, team.